I grew up in segregated Savannah on a dirt street. Just across one of the main streets was the white community, and all of the streets were paved. And my mother and several of the neighbors would walk throughout the neighborhood to get petitions signed to ask for the streets to be paved. I was in high school, and the vice president of the NAACP came to speak to my American history class. And of course, I joined the youth council, and a group of us were going to sit in at department stores. I happened to have been one of the three that was the first arrested in Savannah. That started my NAACP involvement. So they offered me an opportunity to come to North Carolina and be the state director. And I was here for 2 weeks, and in fact was out purchasing a refrigerator when I received the call that the 5 persons that were killed here in Greensboro had been killed by the Klan. And that was the beginning of my work in North Carolina. As state director, traveled the state working on everything. The last time we had that terrible storm, and places like Princeville had water up on the side of the homes that were almost to the roof. So we worked with that entire area to rebuild that community. I've never had the experience of bodies, caskets, coming up out of the water, floating down the street when there was a storm, but that happened in Princeville. We were able to rebury all of those people, identify who they were, and that meant a lot to the families. The bottom line is, what can you take back to your community? All the work that I've done, whether it was for the NAACP or for the governor or even now, I would not have taken a salary if I didn't need it. In 1992, a friend had recommended me to the governor. He said, "Carolyn, I'm organizing my campaign staff. I'm going to run for governor again, and I've gotten all of the staff, but I need one other person, and that person is you." I worked for Governor Hunt for 8 years, and my job was advising him on policy, personnel, legislation, and minority affairs. Young people who I believe were about 5th grade when they started touring the Capitol. My office was the office before you reached the governor's office, and they would always pass my office and see black people sitting in there, and they'd stop and just wave. I mean, it meant something to them to see a person that looked like them in a top position in the Capitol, and they could aspire to do the very same thing. It makes a difference when you can make the decision about your community. 2 years ago, some members of our board decided that they would build an animal shelter in my district, which is predominantly black. When you locate something like an animal shelter, it's going to devalue the property. I met with the citizens after having left that meeting, and they agreed they did not want it. And of course, we were successful in getting them to move it. The fact is that people are still working to make a change, working to make a difference. And anybody who lives on this earth and dies and can't say that they helped someone didn't deserve the life that they had.